little bit. See what I get some stuff going on. Let's see what I got. Let me see if I can get this thing going for you real quick. I got to make sure that when I'm going live, we got everybody all in detail. Let's see. Turn this thing on for you real quick. Let me see. We're going to put this thing out here, start this question up. If anybody wants to come on, we're going to talk about it today about the Big Mac, return of the Mac. People got so many slangs for this turkey. And I'll be on for a little while. See what I got. Coming to you live today. Hope everything's going good for you. We're going to find out what. So we got just getting started today. So just going to send out some notifications. No, okay. So what I will do is I'm going to be on. We'll see what kind of reaction we get in kind of situation. I'll be on for at least an hour if I get the kind of buzz. If I don't get too much going on, then I'll cut it in half. But we'll see what's up though. So anyway, we are live. Hope you're having a good day wherever you are in the world today on this Sunday. It is NBA All Star Weekend, but you know how that thing goes. But anyway, let's talk about this Mac McClung. He only seems to appear for the slam dunk contest. This is hilarious, though. But anyway, we're gonna see what we talking about. And if you're out here and you want to commentate, come on through. Let me know what you're thinking. You know, it's hilarious, ain't it? Because I have to say, well, he's got a three-time champ. What's happening? How you doing? Thank you for coming through, dog lover. Where you coming from today? Hope you're enjoying your Sunday wherever you are in the world. Let me know wherever you are in the world. What's happening, Rocco Fox? Where are you coming from today? How are you? You are the best. Okay. Afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for your comments. Where everybody's coming from. I'm doing all right. It's a cool day. It's a winter day, but doing all right. Okay. Okay. Thank you. No, it's all natural. It's my African nose. And if you're trolling, this ain't gonna last long. That's usually not what people say when they say, hello, how are you? Well, thank you for your comments. Okay. Okay. What part of UK you coming from? I'm not calming down. I don't like people disrespecting because that's a good way I just close you out of here. Mm, I don't know what those terms mean. I use English. Uh-huh. Okay, thank you. Cool. People come with conflict. They're not okay. Isle of White. Okay. I keep hearing good things about Yorkshire. Cool. That's cool. Yeah. Well, not gonna go through a whole lot of static. That's not how I address people. We have conversations, ask people how they're doing, and see, I don't like anything that's perceived to be offensive or something like that because I've gone up with that enough. We got enough racism out here. People always got something to say about your African features. And I'm not very tolerant of folks when they start off. These are very testy times. I'm not going to chill out. You chill out. You said you're going to go, so you can go. I'm not. Mm-mm. Well, you in on it. Now, you should know who you dealing with before you come at people. I'm a very sensitive black man. We're going to say it like that. People come in here, please hit them likes up too. When you say stop the hate, who are you addressing it to? I don't want that the tone of this person, so I didn't start nothing. Mm, none on my part. None on my part. But if someone comes into this forum, which I happen to be directing, and they start asking about my nose, I'm gonna have problems. So I eliminated that. So I don't want no conflict. And sometimes people don't understand that they got to be cool with how they address people. That's all. Please continue to hit the like, welcome thoughts and comments. And if you have any commentary, feel free to address. I don't know about that. I'm just a normal human being. That's all. Anyway, this poll is going to be huge already. McLovin. McLovin. McLovin is cracking me up. I got some funny. You know, this is hilarious. Anyway, so you're from Yorkshire and you got commentary. What's going on with your day though? Anybody want to come through? Feel free. Okay, you sound like a James Brown record which says you're the best. I don't know what that means in English. I just want conversation. And again, I hope everybody's doing good who's ever out here. The pit. Okay, I don't know. Just hoping people are doing okay. Just trying to stay warm today. Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that things aren't going good. That's what I just was asking. Just trying to make light of everything. So it's a lot of stuff going on in the universe. So just trying to have conversation and so anyway. Gonna be on for a little while to see what kind of vibe we getting. Mess up with this cough drop. Well, you have to explain. I'm just doing me. I haven't said much of nothing, you know. But I will answer questions though. Appreciate the people taking the poll today too. Yeah, I'm still here. I'll say hello. Sometimes on Sundays or different days, you get a lot of people coming through for live stream. So we'll see. I don't know what this keeps me in. Again, anybody wants to come through and have conversation, feel free. Again, hit and click some likes. Let me know where you're coming from. See what we got. Mm, mm. Got some more light coming through, so feel free. Hope everybody's doing good today. We're gonna see what we're talking about. What's up, man? How you doing? Thank you, Will. What's up? What's up? Glad you're coming through. Come on here and can give me some questions. I'm on here for a good hour. So if you give me some good questions, we can get it going. I know you got some thoughts and takes about McLovin. He used to be on your team. I had forgot all about him. Well, he only comes out for the slam dunk contest. McLovin, the slam dunk king. Yeah, he had that dunk off the car. That's all he do. He's a part-time player. I don't know what how they dig him up every year. Called McLovin the Shaquille O'Neal of the dunk contest. Not one, not two, but three. Hmm. Can he do a half court? I don't know what he can do, but I know that they always dig him up, and he always, you know, I don't pay him no mind. It's just the only time he gets notoriety. It's comical. I don't allow him. They allow who they want to allow. McLovin, the slam dunk wonder, because he never gets to start. This is hilarious. It's hilarious. You got guys who can dunk all through different leagues. It's just that the NBA ain't pushing. This is how bad the NBA has gotten. McLovin is your slam dunk king. That's crazy. I know he won. 8 Mile came through. I was like, go ahead, 8 Mile. I'll probably have to do a video about that. What's up, Gojo? What's happening? You trolling me now. That's a personal win. I ain't look, I like Tyler's playing out his mind right now, but the Heat ain't that good. So what does that mean? When they needed him to be like this, I saw that. And then he did typical Buddy Hield, got cold. See, that's just how his season was. That 3-point contest was his season in a nutshell. Golden State first got me look like Clay who, and then middle of the season it's like, can Clay still play? Buddy Hield turned into a heel. I know, I know, I know all about Buddy Hield. Boy, people look like Benny Hill. That's what he looked like. He went down, 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 and then went down, 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 down. That's how his career is. That's that. Somebody was in the comment section talking about that. That's exactly how it went. This year, he started hot the first 2 weeks, and then, well, you saw what happened to Golden State. They are 500 team, and the problem is they couldn't unload him. That was it. Just like with Golden State. Did you see this year? The first 3 games, he was shooting flames. He was like a Burger King thrower, bro. And then after that, he went cold turkey. So that's all. And it's a lot of guys like that though. Start off hot, then go cold. So anyway, I might do a video about Tyler Hero getting his 8 Mile moment on. That's his season right there. Because Buddy Hill went cold. That's definitely a back to back video. Yeah, one of those girls, Caitlin Clark didn't want no parts of it because the politics involved, and then the other one got canceled with Steph, so that's what happened. That's what it was supposed to be. They did because people have been crying about the threes. Well, they've been crying because it's too much of it, which is true, but they wanted to milk it as a couple's threes. Adam Silver would be sitting in his office thinking of all these ideas. He'd be brainstorming. Like, well, let me see. Let me think. That's why the NBA is in the toilet now, as far as the real viewership, not the pseudo viewership. But anyway, that's what he's doing. Thank you for everybody that's coming through. We got a good amount of people through. And keep on hitting the clicks and the views and giving your votes and comments. So come on through on this Sunday afternoon or morning or wherever you are in the world. Could be early Monday. Depends on where you are in the world. But thank you for stopping through. Glad to see you. Glad to have you. Yeah, it got canned. It was on the agenda though. Um, they want money. So That's gonna be a video that I do. Thank you for that. I'm gonna do a video about that because the cats are holding on for a reason. And you think LeBron's impact hasn't been felt? I'm gonna do a video about that. Thank you, Jay Will. He sure did. He sure did because that was that one between his legs, which was sick. But it's so scripted now. But then again, let me look at those three that you mentioned, and then I'm gonna tell you why. Because that's who him and Jai would benefit the most. But Ant would be the one that Middle America would want. So that's an interesting video I could do with that. So thank you. You gave me an idea. But that's the LeBron effect. I saw that Spurs cat. That was nice. It was nice. But people don't care no more. It's a gimmick. It's so comical. But see, I'm not gonna sit here and act like cats weren't tripping on the All-Star weekend and thinking it was garbage because Shaq felt that way about it too. I remember. They didn't like it. Except the disdain is more noticeable now. Way more noticeable now. So way more noticeable. So Spurs got some athleticism. And they ever figure out how to put it together what they got. That's in a couple years though. I forgot who used to be on these live streams that was that was on about the Spurs, but in a couple years though. They're about a couple years away. That's all I gotta say about that. I don't know who his drug dealer is. I need them drugs in my life because he is talking out of his mind. It'd be one thing if they had to play 4 great games in that finals. They did not. They got beat up by the Bulls' second team. Dennis Rodman stole 2 games. And the one game where Jordan Pippen did stand out and showed out, it was like men against boys. What the heck he talking about? Yeah, when they rotated, yeah, because he's the Lulu as I don't know what. And he act like he was camping out in the finals. He wasn't. He's got delusions of I don't know what world he living in. He went to 1 finals with the Supersonics. If anything, they underachieved and didn't get the half of what they got. And granted, there were 2 ugly, brutal games to start the finals against Chicago. And if they could have won one of those games, maybe things are different. But it didn't happen that way. And he sure as heck wasn't like because his great defense was making them foot on offense. They spluttered, they stunk, you know. Now Sean Kemp balled out. Sean Kemp was the 3rd best player on the floor in that series. Kemp, Jordan, and Rodman. Rodman was the best player as far as I'm concerned because Rodman won that series. They had no answer for what Rodman was doing. And Seattle got outworked. And see, let me just say it like this. Let's just suppose Gary Payton's delusional world is correct. If it's hustle and physicality and all that, then how come you didn't win the series? Why did you let Dennis Rodman steal 2 games from you? How come you didn't hustle? So that's why I call Cap on his delusional mindset. Tripping. Because if it's defensive and it's ugly, you're supposed to win. Since you said Phil Jackson kept you from, yeah, especially the last 2 games. He balled out. The 2 that they won, he balled out. He balled. And he never played great like that after again. And I think that's the reason why he doesn't get any Hall of Fame consideration. He never was that dude. After that finals, he never was that guy again. Because then Karl Malone proceeded to go to the next finals, and then San Antonio, and then you had the Lakers run, and then and that's it. That was it. That was his peak, his window. It really wasn't a battle. The problem is that Kukos, Harper, and them were better. They had better size, and they got up on Hershey Hawkins, and they got up on Nate McMillan and them. They were more versatile and they could score more. That's what it came down to. Because Kukos had a better situation coming in, rotation, size. They got at him. That's why when Gary Payton talks that crazy talk, if you were hustling and battling, you'd win that series if you had to fight. You didn't have with Dennis Rodman. And that was the difference in that series, not having anybody. What I always used to say, gotta have booty in the glass. Didn't have nobody in the glass that could bang and move. You got exploited. I think it was Jim Mackin something. He was whack. And Rodman just had a field day with them. Got all in their head, and that was it. That was it. So that was the difference in it. That was really it. But it was enough physicality. That was probably of all the series that the Bulls won, that was the one series that low post made the difference. Because it was really trees against limbs, and they just was too tall. They got them, and it was an uglied up series. That's why Gary says, "Well, we because you didn't play ugly enough, and you didn't have any enforcers to rebound, and they defended you, and you weren't scoring like that. That's what happened. That ain't saying much. He faced what I would consider to be third tier centers. Bloody was a soft, small forward acting as a center. That's your replacement for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Let that sink in. Bloody is like a stretch four, impersonating a five, but he was more finesse. Taylor made for today's NBA. Don't get it twisted, because Vladi with Brooke Lopez today and all that, fitting good today. His passing game was off the chain. One of the best passing bigs I've ever seen. No, yeah, the Kareem retired in '89. So 1991, it's just that, but he was serviceable. He was good enough because of he gave you stretch and length, and he could shoot, and he could pass, and he could rotate. But he's more known for his flopping antics. That's what he's more known for. Anybody who's seen him after that, that's all they know him for, which is what he did. And plus being traded for Kobe, that was the other thing too. So, but yeah, but no, Jordan never faced a top tier center. Not in the finals, he didn't. No. So that's a good debate. All right. Appreciate everybody coming through. See, numbers are climbing, the polls climbing. So thank you. So keep on hitting the like, keep on hitting it. Click on through. And if you got anything you want to comment on, feel free. Yeah, but they couldn't finish off. They let Mario Elliott hit them threes, and they let Robert Ory come up big. He was never that dude. And I also don't think at that stage he was starting to decline. Now I'll tell you like this because I can tell you sight on scene. The best Barkley was in Philly. That I tell you from 85 to about 90. Now he had moments with the Suns, don't get it twisted, but he even said himself when he got the MVP, he was past his. He was, but they didn't play no defense. They got 8 up on perimeter threes. And yeah, and let me tell you something. You seen the Celtics 15 years ago when Pierce and Garnett and them would defend the three. Yeah, he pretty much ticked off the wrong people because he was very athletic. He was a tier below top tier point guards, but he was a guy that could give top tier point guards a problem. Let me put it to you like that. He may not have been Isaiah Magic and Steph or Oscar Round guys like that, but I'm gonna tell you something. He was up there with the high second tiers, and he sure as heck could give first tiers of problems. And anything below, he tear their behind up. Well, Chauncey, because of being in the NBA Finals, that helped him out. That took years. Tim Hardaway, because of his, you know, but his skill set. And then KG should be. But they can make you wait. They do. There's a lot of politics involved. NBA is just as political as anything. Mhm. Yeah, that's what's up. Again, I always tell people all the time there's a lot of politics involved. It ain't based on just how great you are. So they do. That's how Tony Kukoc got over. He wasn't way better than Marbury. Marbury had crazy handles. Marbury and him, Marbury to me was like a cleaned up version of Allen Iverson. He could handle the rock, he could score, he could shoot. It's just that he outran himself out the league because he couldn't get along with cats, and he was, you know, and when you got skills but you waste away, they run your butt up out of it, then you run your mouth. But Marbury was cabal. No, I like KJ, but if you ask me out of him and Marbury, I'm taking Marbury. The eyeball test says Marbury. Now KJ was athletic, but Marbury was one of those dudes that he belonged. But it's close. I'm gonna say this: KJ was bad. KJ would have been one of those guys. He'd have been scary today. But again, depends on where you play. I like them both. Yeah, I liked him. But Marbury is one of those guys that I kind of roll with because his game was, I don't always go by that though. I don't always go by that. Marbury was averaging like what 20 points and 8 dimes for like what 7 or 8 years. That was in Oscar Robertson territory. Go look it up. Now that one I remember off the top of my dome. I don't even have no Wikipedia from it, but I remember that particular stat. He was in rare company with his points and his assists for a while. What hurt him is that he always ran his mouth about Kevin Garnett, and he got traded to the and he always put himself in a bad light. That's how him and Jason Kidd got traded because Kidd was was kind of funky when he first came up until he got his thing together. So, you know, all depends. There's so much politics involved. I like them both. They hit me in different ways. Yeah, he did. And let me tell you a story. Back then, Nash wasn't that dude. Okay. So the Steve Nash thing is one of the it's like a Scooby Doo mystery. It's like how he get up like that. He wasn't that dude. We didn't look at Steve Nash like we are, he might be the most polarizing player of the last 25 years. We didn't see him turn into that dude. He wasn't better than Gary Payton or Kidd as far as point guards or Stockton and them guys. He wasn't in that conversation. Shoot, people got Chris Paul over him. It just shows you that those MVPs did wonders where people had to like rethink, but he wasn't that dude. You know, he one of the dudes that he probably the most polarizing cat I would say over the last 30 years. Because those MVPs. Hmm. Except the problem with him, Kobe called him an offensive genius, but it didn't work in the Lakers. It didn't work in Houston. He didn't win. And his 7-man rotation ran guys down. That's what Tibbs does in New York. Hmm. It helped Amari Stoudemire too. Obviously, Sean Marion, but he couldn't coach half court basketball. You can tell. Well, let me address that. If your offense is effective, it becomes defense. I'll give you an example in football. That's what Peyton Manning did. He beat you because he played off of your defense for his offense. Actually, that's what Tim Duncan and the Spurs did. You know, Duncan could do both ways. They beat you through your defense for the offense. And then that's what Steph Curry did. You see, Nash and Harden aren't Steph Curry. And Jeremy Lin sure was. And Jeremy Lin had what I call now the bag. He was good for basically 6 weeks and bought himself a 10-year career because he capitalized. Harden plays a little bit of defense, but that took him like 20 years. Nash didn't play none at all. So that's the difference right there. But that's a good point. They don't. The other thing, if he had won a ring with it, he had been looked upon as the greatest coach of the last 30 years, more so than Phil. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you produce multiple league MVPs and your system works wherever you go, you look like a genius. But he didn't. So it stunk in LA. He caught Kobe too late in life, and Dwight Howard wasn't going to be a good fit, and Nash was old. Houston, it was a good fit. New York, it was a good fit, and Phoenix was a good fit. But then we start talking about Mike D'Antoni. He looks like a broke double junior whopper Don Nelson and a broke Rick Alderman. So you don't win nothing or you don't compete for a champ. If you don't get to the finals, you just stat padding. So that's the problem it ran into. So appreciate everybody coming through. Thank you for coming through today. Hope you're doing well. And if you got any questions, thoughts, and comments, feel free. I saw that mess. And if mean mugging made you the leader, he was the king. If mean mugging meant you were top five, he was the king. But he stayed getting posterized by D Wade, so no, he's comedy. I'm glad you got people who find him entertaining. No, I like the Sheed play at center. My problem with Boston is that they blew game six where they got blew out, and they played it almost like they were playing to play game seven. And I didn't think they put much effort in game six, so I was on Doc's part. They took that beating. Sheed at center was a smart move. They just couldn't score. They didn't score. Couple suspect foul calls, but then Kobe was 6 out of 20 game seven. So, they obviously 6 out of 24. So that's what happened there. No, Big Perkins ain't gonna make no difference. They needed somebody that could score. I think the Sheed at center was the smartest move that Doc made, but that game six was deplorable. And neither and them nor the Lakers were ever the same after that finals for a while. It took Boston about 12 years to get to the finals and took them about another two, it's up 14 to win. Well, you also got to throw um, Meta was playing good defense and Lamar was a factor. But it came down to the fact that the Celtics just didn't, that Doc Rivers gets out coached, player two, you know, because that's what it came down to. Jobs and education, what would you like to talk about with that? I would tell anybody about jobs. If you can be self-employed or find something in aviation, or you can find something in computers, or you can find something that, you know, uh, that allows you to be self, that's what I would say. We talking about education? Well, education should be free. You go in with education. Depends on what you want to learn about. From a technical perspective, today they want to put AI on you. What you think? He sure as heck wasn't gonna make it on his skill set. He was a third tier player, and he's a third tier commentator. And I would tell him to his face because he talks a lot of hyperbole on his shows. He corny. He wasn't memorable. Third tier guard. That just means you just average. You good enough to be in the league. You belong in the league, unlike Bronny James. You actually do belong, but that ain't saying much. But you ain't without your daddy's connection. You probably would have been ran out after your third year, maybe fourth, with five different teams. I didn't root for nobody at Duke. I don't ever like the Duke Blue Devils. He was, yeah. No one talks about his NBA career. Because ask yourself, is Austin Rivers much better than Seth Curry? Ask yourself that. And Seth then had a few games where he looked like he belonged. He's more credible than Austin is to me. Yeah, so you know more about him than I did. I ain't paying no mind. He went to about 4 or 5 teams. I didn't see nothing there. You know, to be honest with you, Doc Rivers was an overachiever as a player. He was pretty good in spurts. I'd say middle of the road, second tier player, but he had more consistency than Austin did. Austin just had that three ball, and he had some spring in him, but it didn't last for long. And he would just end up being a dime a dozen. So anybody asking me about, yeah, that's what I said about the job and education. So please continue to hit the likes, hit the poll questions. Appreciate everybody coming through. This has been good back to back days. I probably will, if I'm available tomorrow, I'll probably do another one. I like to do like 3 lives in succession, especially if I'm getting good feedback and vibe. I will definitely do it. So they're not ready yet. I told you 2 years from now, and I think Victor Wimby next, you're going to see peaks. Last year, obviously green. This year, he's still green and flawed. Next year, I should see him getting up to near the average range where the trajectory starts to rise. And in 2 years, he should be entering peak and prime by year 4 or 5. That's where he should start to really make strides. They just got the Aaron Fox. They got to get a bench and they got to get some fine tuning and they still a green team. He's still green. So I don't have no expectations. He ain't Tim Duncan, if that's what you asking. Just because he can shoot threes, block shots, athletic, he ain't Tim Duncan. It ain't like he got the kind of game that he hit. So he still needs some work. Yeah. That's not a diss. That's just you. That's the norm. You get spoiled by a cat like Tim Duncan or Magic or somebody like that that comes into the league ready and built. Shaq was, LeBron was extent. You know, you get those kind of guys. Jordan was. There's some guys that were ready to build, but to win. I'm talking about win, like Duncan was, Magic was. That usually takes about 4, 5, 6 years to get like that. So he's looking at a few more years before I say he get like that, but they're not that far away. Because if my guesstimation estimation is right, 2 years from now, he gonna be second round and on. Not if his team don't play no, they don't win close games, and they lose a lot of games off of stupidity. It's not a smart team right now. The league wants him in. Oh yeah, he's merch ready, but him and De'Aaron Fox should that, and they'll need another part to start, and then you need to get your bench tight. Play some defense, win those chippy games. There you go. So that's all I can say with that. You're not wrong. It's just that they're not quite there yet. But you never know. But for what I've seen so far, he's proven my case and my point. He's about 2 years away. Now I know somebody will come in and say, "Well, what about next year?" well, I said you'll see the growth because it went from last year to this year. I saw leaps and bounds, but I still see they still got some mental things they got to work out the kinks because he still got some things that he has to get better at. And then they get the De'Aaron Fox thing. They got to play for a full year. CP3's on the last legs. He can only coach but so much. So let's see what kind of pickup they get in the off season. Body stays healthy and what kind of bench they bring forth. So next year you'll kind of start to feel it, and then after year 4, I think that's when he's gonna really be on the clock. Because I give him a pass the first 2 years. It's just his gravy fill out. So 10 votes are in. 70% said no to McLevin. Thank you. The NBA will be ashamed themselves for this one. I tell you, Adam Silver, really, this is hilarious. Got him up there as a three-peat. I'm cracking up. PG is Paul George. Is that Paul George for PG? Oh, well, the order you gave is the order I'll do. Harden was the best overall because his prime was better. Russ had the triple doubles, but Harden had people thinking he belonged in the sentence with Jordan, Kobe, and D Wade. Okay, no one looked at Russell Westbrook and thought, "Oh, you Magic, you Steph, you Oscar Robinson. You did match Oscar." No one looked at him quite like that. Harden was that dude. Now we can like Russell better as far as his tenacity and Iverson like stamina and vibe. I'll give you that. But Harden was that dude for a minute. I mean, he was putting up crazy numbers. That he was more Euro than what the Euro was. He Euro stepped, dragged that beard, got to the free throw line, just didn't do nothing to put. That's what hurts him. Only if the Pacer era. But how long ago was that? How long ago was that? Well, you say complete player, that makes you the best. See, because if you're gonna say complete to me, that means that I could cover all the bases. Paul George was not a threat like James Harden. And he didn't even take advantage of the Pacer situation where he could have been, he just didn't get better. Harden got better. Remember, Harden was a bench, a six man. And Harden made himself into an all-star, MVP candidate, top 5 player going. Paul George, you can't even remember when you could say the half of that. Paul George was always a guy that was a sidekick who was manipulated like he wanted to front run. He didn't do nothing to front run. It just didn't work that way. At least I could say with them guys, they should have signed it. They did sign Paul George, but he stat pad and he flexed. That's all he did. That's what he tends to do: stat pad and flex. And other teams get hard. Oh yeah, Harden. Yeah. Now they didn't know he was going to turn into that dude. See, they made a choice. They stuck with Westbrook and Durant. They didn't know he was going to morph into that dude. Not like that. And then he goes off you know. And the only reason why we don't hold him in high regards, he didn't win a ring or get to the finals. Now he gets to the finals again and then he wins, then you having a different discussion because the beard is the truth. I mean, you look at his career, that's what's hurting him. That's the real knock. Because if he stays halfway healthy for the next couple of years, he's going to get 30,000 points. And he was a scoring machine. Sure. Yeah, and Back to the Future, but That's the Euro step. Again, that's the basketball that David Stern and Adam Silver wanted. So he benefited from the change of the rules with the Euro step and the movement. And his beard was used to get him as a free throw magnet. So he had it, like I said before, he to be honest with you, they talk about Steph or LeBron being bad for the game. No, 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 heck no. Was he better than Allen Iverson? No. And see that right there, and that ain't even going to Karl Malone. You know, come on now. He sucked in the postseason. He choked in the postseason, and he could play. I saw him. He came out. He was nice. He was one of the best. But no, no, no. He wasn't better than Bernard King or Dwight or Dominic Wilkins. He wasn't better than John Stockton. I know you're gonna use scoring points. I can tell. He folded like a chair in the postseason. Why do you think Reggie Jackson got a deal now? Reggie Jackson be playing for everybody's team, be walking, doing crip walking everywhere, got them shades on. Why you think he got a job? Because he outshined CP3 in that playoff game. But he couldn't do nothing when it came to money time. Front and center against the Bucks. And Drew Holiday got physical with him. Yeah, what happened against the Bucks? Where did that beast go? Because he folded like a chair against Milwaukee them last 4 games, and he never been heard from since. And then we need to talk about what happened the next year when they played the Mavericks in the second round, and Luca went off and bust the butt up and had them busters beat by 30 or 40 at halftime. What happened? See, you're gonna tell the whole truth. Or let's go back to Houston. Missed all them threes, and Clay came up big. What happened? What happened to him? Thank you, Duke. Thank you. Appreciate you coming through. You ain't talking to somebody who wasn't aware of it. I had to hear about Charles Barkley talking about he's the best leader on the floor, general, and all this and all that. I had to hear about this all years and decades of how he was. And the Reggie Jackson episode where he choked the last 30 seconds in the playoffs, the choke job with Houston with him and Harden where he blew it. Um, with the Clippers at Lob City, that's why he ain't in the conversation with they've been wanting to put him so bad as one of the 5 greatest point guards. They've been wanting bad, but they can't do it because he blew it. And him and James Harden, who could be made discussions if they had to finish through. And even if they had a both been at their highest of highs, Harden was more effective. Because you can't teach scoring on 30 plus points. You can't teach getting to the free throw line. You can't teach the takeover. But CP3 would have been in that discussion, but he ain't. So, you know, that's why I can't do it. And he's got a stanky attitude, and most of the cats in the NBA can't stand him. Ask Rondo. And he caught a lot of Chris Rock pieces. He caught the Will Smith special a lot. Cats don't like CP3, but that's neither here nor there. It's just that he didn't deliver in the money time, and that's what it came down to. And now I see him hanging on in San Antonio. Maybe he can give Darren Fox some pointers as far as positioning yourself and posing. But he sure as heck didn't bring it when it needed to be brought, and that's where we are. That's why he will never get, not in my eyesight. He won't get no top. You know, he wasn't better than Stockton. Stockton had composure of the game. John Stockton could have played. John Stockton could have played as long as CP3 and stayed on one team. I seen Stockton. Even Gary Payton called Stockton the best player he played against. And for Gary to give you any love at that before Gary got senile. I'm not talking about senile Gary. I'm talking about when Gary was Gary, not the senile the Clutch Sports bought and paid for, they'll say anything crazy. I'm talking about when he actually had his brain, his head screwed on. CP3 wouldn't know what to do with no Karl Malone. He had Devin Booker in a 2-0 lead against Giannis in Milwaukee, and he blew it, and he got beat up by Drew Holiday, and he blew all those other series. And he had talent on his team. He had Blake Griffin. He had James Harden. So you can keep up here talking about it. If he made up for what he did, how come his teams never won? How come he only went to one finals? Being an overall offensive threat doesn't make him better than John Stockton. John Stockton was a smarter player. Stockton didn't get exposed like that in regular seasons when his team was favored. In some cases, people hold Stockton almost up in the same regards as Carmelo. John Stockton is considered a top 5 point guard ever. He's considered a better point guard than CP3. Now CP3 he's trying to give LeBron a marathon for playing for like 30 years. And I guess when it's all said and done, he probably played for 30 teams. People didn't stop checking for CP3 about 7, 8 years ago. He just didn't get the memo. That whole Houston fiasco, that stank job with Phoenix and blowing the finals, he didn't get the memo. People are done with him. He just playing on goodwill and reputation. And he don't have the best reputation, but that's another story, another video. I'm just saying. But I understand. Look, I remember when he's with back early part of his career, I liked him, but he never got no better. Yeah, two of them belong and two of them don't. Take the two that belong and two that don't. Mm. There ain't no Ric Flair. Yeah, and then what? CP3 and Melo or what? The Arn and Ole Anderson? And Wade and LeBron are like Ric Flair and Sting or Ric Flair and Lex Luger? Come on now. Not quite. Not quite. CP3 and Melo are like Ole and Arn Anderson. Please. I go back with CP3, yo. Only he had a finish. If he finishes, then yeah, we got a different discussion. But he didn't. Thank you. Because they sure well, yeah. Because only one on that team that you could count on was D Wade. And I said it. Because LeBron, he has some games sometime where he looked like he lost. Melo is a mellow world. And he never was focused in the big picture. And CP3, he gonna give up a couple of games just sputtering and fumbling and bumbling. I'm telling you. So I like it how when people like try to romanticize or try to act like they didn't, they think that what you saw was it wasn't real. I saw it. So that would you have to have another player. So who else are you gonna bring? Yeah. Who else would you bring? Now you see if you put Rondo's name in front of CP3, then they win. Oh yeah. That was the for as a Heat fan, that was the best shot I ever seen. And that was a memorable three. I know Cleveland fans are gonna say Kyrie's shot over Steph, which was, but there's something about that. He was, because he out there on that perimeter, he could take you and he made you work. He made you work. LeBron never really he never went into the post. So if he ain't driving and me mugging, there's not much there. And then Kobe was doing all that acrobatic and athletic moves, but he wasn't hitting you physical. Melo was gonna hit you physical, so he's gonna hit you in the chops. Yep. Melo came with you with that force. The only problem with Melo is that Melo didn't utilize a post game. So he settled for that outside fade or he settled on the perimeter. He wasn't even really a 3-point specialist and he didn't really post and repost. He didn't have like a hook or a little, push shot. So that's what he did. That's why he was tough. but he wasn't smarter than those two. So Paul Pierce needs to go take that hate away somewhere else because LeBron was smarter and Kobe was smarter. That's why Melo played for like 60, 80 different teams. And then he was stat padding. And when there was much to him, he didn't make the game easy on himself. He was a great scorer for his time, but then again, that's all he was with what he did. And it ain't my fault that people don't really talk about Melo. And they were cringing when he got 25,000 points. Usually people get excited. Oh yeah. He before everything became 3-point specialized, because you could make the case Melo was like the link. He was that dude before Durant went into his thing and before Dirk, but he didn't add nothing. He was, he was, because he utilized the court better. He was smarter. Melo didn't play as smart as Alice English. He had the opportunities to have better success too. When he plays, Jay Will, when he plays the 4 or 5 times a month that he plays, yeah, it is nice. Yeah. So we don't know when he gonna play, but when he played them 4 or 5 times in a month, yeah. Of course, now I think it's like twice a month he plays. So yeah. I love it how a Sixer fan tries to inject that mess in there and try to talk about Joel Embiid, somebody that is on a milk carton. He's on a milk carton and we didn't even know he was missing in action. Yeah, but he don't play enough to appreciate it though. That's the sad part. He got a top game, but his mindset ain't matching. I think Embiid is one of those guys that, yeah, yeah, well, talked all that talk and don't play. That should tell you how pathetic he is. He didn't turn into Rudy Gobert right before your eyes. Just and that Ben Simmons routine where he didn't shoot that three was embarrassing. Just doesn't just mindset, just fragile and soft right now. I'm glad I ain't on my team. You couldn't pay me to have Joe Embiid, you know. So he was trying to offset when yeah. I remember that play. But I'm like, look, y'all 15 games on the 500. You need to come and bring your butt to the court and play. How you gonna call somebody out when you're been half-hearted? You took money. Tyrese Maxey called you out, and Paul George too. Yeah, just embarrassing. Just embarrassing. Like I said before, I give Jay Will props. The only person I know, Sixer fan, Cowboy fan, still try to justify Busters being lame and still tries to anoint them like they still got hope. And you know they stink. You don't hear me popping off about the Heat. I'm not saying nothing. We stink this year. Yeah, I'm glad for Tyler Heroes, you know, 8 Mile moment. And he got his, 3-point trophy and then that. But we stink. Jimmy Butler had been a bad fiasco. Pat Riley, his stuff's messed up. I'm not trying to say nothing. I am not going to justify being below average and stink. And I'm amazed when others do it because I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, well, no. Mm-mm. But see, Joel Embiid done made himself into a bad joke. And I said before, Nick Nurse didn't sign up for that. You mean in what universe? And I got news flash for you, Jay Will, because I thought about you the other night. Guess who had a sighting? Guess who had a sighting? Tobias Harris hit a nice turnaround shot. Tobias up there with the fadeaway turnaround, Jay. I was like, man, can you add insult to them? And they're actually playing pretty good. Cat Cunningham is balling. If they just could get themselves another piece and a piece off the bench, they could be a bottom seed problem. They're not gonna be, but they playing better. Yeah, he looked good in Detroit. He's playing better than what y'all got. I feel bad for Kelly Oubre because Kelly's actually playing pretty good for y'all. And I got that rookie y'all got, but y'all stink. And you're making Nick Nurse look like, why did I take this job? They're not too bad. No, they're not. Well, you got to remember, they stink for like 20 years. And once you get a draft pick, then you know. Pistons are always good to come back. He sure has. He sure has. I ain't thought about Paul George since about 2018, 17. When he started rocking jerseys and waving and messing with Dame Lillard, that should tell you where his mindset was. Yeah. And they bring him in and he got more clicks and views on his podcast than he's got shot attempts in a whole week. That should tell you all you need to know. 2 points in 38 minutes the other night. I just think that people keep thinking that he's going to revert back to where he was in 2012 and 13 stuff, and it happened. Mm-mm. So that's what they want. That's what they get. The Pistons are an average team. They're on the way back up, but they still need another piece. They doing all right. The Lions underachieve. The Lions underachieve. The Lions can play none of the defense, but Dan Campbell always thinks he's got to put this Rocky Balboa, got to be tough and do all the and you end up putting your team at a disadvantage. And then Jerry Goff looked like Jerry Goff we really knew, not the one he been masquerading as his redemption. I like what they got as far as talent, but that was just typical Detroit ending. So, um, because Rick Carlisle is not connecting with them. Tyler Hellburton, I think he got some stardom and he got it. He got to his head. PJ Sock, I like Sock. I like what they got. Some of the guys, but that Knicks series, the way they lost that, the way where they got swept against Boston, no, against Boston, was embarrassing. Rick Carlisle should not be allowed to coach. He blew 2 or 3 of them games in Eastern Conference Finals, and the Pacers ain't really been the same. And I think it could be because of Rick Carlisle's coaching, because I didn't understand how they got swept. They choked 2 games against Boston, and they really haven't been the same. And I think they got happy because I think they overachieved. Now you're seeing the results this year. They got enough talent on that team to at least be a 5th seed in the East, but you know, so that's the problem. Not my problem though. But yeah, good call on that one. Good call on that one, DM. Yeah, because the way you lost that 4-game series in the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm like, what did Rick Carlisle get bought and paid off? I mean, they blew 2 of those games, which was blatant. So you go through the bother to beat the Knicks in the second round, and you go to Boston and you choke that first game, and I think it was game 3. One of them other game, they blew 2 games, and then they just rolled over. And I don't know, Rick Carlisle got bought and paid because there were some bad situations that I remember. It was bad. So Shaq, anytime a guy gets opportunity because they got to fire you, you're gonna be a better scorer. He was a better volume scorer. He could score in more different ways, but Shaq was a better scorer. KD was not a high fluent scorer. He played you an all around game, but Shaq could be. First of all, before Shaq's numbers went down to before it became like basically almost 24 a night, double double, what ended was in career. At his peak in his volume, he was higher. He was higher. And I'm a firm believer that if he'd have just put emphasis on just primarily just scoring to be scoring, he gets 30,000 easily. So, because again, the free throw shooting and the attempts, but at his best, yeah. KD was efficient. He was low to mid 20s scoring, but that's my personal opinion on that, though. There's nothing that Kevin Garnett did. Durant. I'm still taking Shaq. My fault. My fault. My fault. I was reading it wrong. I'm still taking Shaq. Shaq won multiple scoring titles. Would have won another one for that 194. And it's not about depending on scoring. Shaq was more effective. He didn't need to pay. Well, yeah, he did. How you think he won in Golden State with Steph? Yeah, he did. And he never played better without depending on having someone that utilized off the ball. Yeah, he did. I take exception to that. Where else did he come up big? Shaq's got a couple. Shaq should have had three. Got robbed out that one in 94. KD's best success was in Golden State. KD's best utilization was there. What we think is best in all time? Yeah, but that don't mean he was the best scorer than Shaquille O'Neal, who commanded, drove guys who fouled him. He didn't depend. He created opportunity because he utilized his size and strength. It's a good debate, but I'm still taking Shaq. You can tell me KD was more rounded scorer. I'll give you that. He could hit from anywhere on the floor. Shaq wasn't a 3-point shooter. But what we think is best to know win the title. Shaq and Penny come into mind. Stockton and Malone. Stockton and Malone. And I could also say Sacramento too. There you go. Reggie and Smith now. No, no, no. But Stockton and Malone, the Sacramento team in '02, they come to mind. Yeah, that's it. Mm-mm. They were, so they got the one Western Conference Finals, but they were too soft in the cakes. They were fun for as what they did with him and Barbosa and Amari and Marion, but they were not what I would consider, no, soft. Now that Robert Ory play where he canceled out 6 guys and one in the next, that was the most gangsters move I've ever seen. But the Suns weren't cut for that. No one even really talks about them like that, to be honest with you, because they weren't a threat. They weren't a threat. Had they been a threat where they're going to Western Conference Finals every year not winning, you know. Shoot, I thought that Denver team with Melo and J.R. Smith and Chauncey was as good as that Suns team, because they did get to Western Conference Finals. They lost in 6 to the Lakers. You know, you gotta give me something to work with. The Suns always look gimmicky. That's why he's one of the most polarizing MVPs you've ever seen, that people have ish because they didn't buy it, because they did greatness with what they did, but they no one was ever scared of them. They had their best run when they lost to the Spurs in '05. Amari played out his mind, and they still got smashed by the Spurs. Boris Diaw had a lot to utilize. He could go and rock that. He was versatile, he was strong, he was agile, and he fit great there with the Spurs. It's typical Spurs pick you up. Always had guys who could be flexible, who could be big. Just like Patty Mills, like how they utilize their dribble. They no one ever got more out of guys' rotation than Pop did. And when I say this, I know people gonna come in. What about Phil and Pat? They did, but the Spurs had guys that they really could get guys to beat you with their shooting or unorthodox, and he got it from there. He sure did. No one got Pop on that. I'm not gonna argue with you, but I will say this. Amari Stoudemire looked like he was running with Tim Duncan for a window. Okay. So it's gonna be hard to argue that. Hard to argue against Sean Marion, who isn't Hall of Famer. Sean Marion has more credibility than Dan Marley and KJ. Now, that's what I'm saying. You know. So you got to look at it in totality. Barbosa, who ended up going with the Warriors 10 years later, won a ring. So you can look at that. So I like that Suns squad, but that Suns team that Nash had was nice, but a different type of nice. But they got actually Nash. Interesting when I say that Nash played with guys who had more credit, had carried more weight, big picture. Who just saying. He massaged ego the right way. That's what he did well. That's one of the greatest things about Phil. But he always had that loose cannon that was on the bench and that streaky with that personality, which he knew how to get the most out of. People are gonna say that because of the whole thing they had with Rodman, and that alone is worth. It was. It was the turning point. It was. It was that big, but he knew how to balance it. Yeah, he could have. He didn't want to. He could have, but he had to make Steven Jackson know that you're not Tim Duncan. You're not David Robinson. So let's not act like you more than what you are. It cost him probably a ring or two because at that time, a small forward he was, and he fit them really like a glove. But Pop wasn't. No, he didn't want to deal with his hangups, and Steven Jackson had hangups. And part of it is he just didn't want to grow up. Because Steven Jackson he didn't exactly set the NBA on fire when he went to the Pacers, you know. So he blew his opportunity. Could play, yes. Good player, yes. Not great. And, messed up a good thing with the Spurs. Was setting good, you know. Because I mean, unless of course you got a plan B that's gonna work, you're gonna run yourself out of a team that goes to the finals. Well, that was during the regular season, so I can't say that. So no, no. That was a regular season game. It wasn't like it was in April or May. What happened was they beat them because they spanked them, but um that year the Pistons had beat them in the Eastern Conference Final. No. I never saw the Pacers as a championship team after they lost to the Lakers. Oh. They did get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I thought they were too streaky. Mm-mm. That was an early regular season game with the Malice. And they were a good team, but they weren't a great team. You know, Pacers were like a lot of teams that had talent, didn't know how to balance it out. So it was like a lot of headspace. No, no, no. Yes, he could play, he could score, but he wasn't like this guy that was stopped by destiny. He was a great scorer, but a good player, not great. People need to stop all this. He wasn't on Jordan's level as a two, and he was a guy who could score. He could do one thing really well. and he was very good at what he did. But there wasn't nothing special about his game where you go, oh, if it wasn't for this, it wasn't for that. Because Ray Allen was a better version of him and more complete. He could score and he could shoot, but it wasn't nothing like I'm like, oh, mm-mm. I saw that mess. Was Clutch Sports behind it? I mean, why are they bringing this one up? And again, I call it cap because the college kids didn't go off and win the gold medal. They didn't be there by about 25, 30 points. What's your point? There's always a story like that. Okay, they should have beat the Bulls. The Davis brothers didn't rebound. Reggie didn't rebound. They had a 5-point lead with 5 minutes to go in the game. Kukos came up big, got out hustled. And I don't look at him as an underdog hero. Because I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna say this the best way I know how. When your coach is still the best player that you got on your team and he's not playing, you're not that good. Larry Bird would have figured out how to beat Jordan. Reggie couldn't. I should have won that series. He didn't dominate. It was hyperbole. You didn't hear the story. It wasn't like that because those guys weren't really playing up against him like that. It's made off like he got the best of them when it really wasn't even like that. They weren't going full throttle. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. You buying that mess. He didn't do that in the NBA. Yeah, he started great against Sacramento's first game. But what happened was the NBA. He didn't come in and wreck the league. He wasn't better than Dwayne Wade when he first started. Okay. We didn't even really start to take him serious to that Pistons series. It was about another level in '07, and then stuff started to come in. All this stuff, no. Yes, I have. There was Wilt Chamberlain. There was Michael Jordan. In basketball, yes, there were. Yes, there were. He could, well, if he put his mind to it. If he put his mind to it. Problem with, and one on one doesn't really mean anything. I mean, yeah, of course, if there's a size advantage, but it don't mean anything. But if I'm going against prime to prime, and Weber put his mind to it, prime with Weber until he got distracted too much. He had a sure can't miss skill set, and he didn't get the best of it in the NBA level. That's the sad part. Please continue to hit the like, hit subscribe. Welcome everybody that's coming through, and keep on coming and keep on talking, and we're loving it. Yeah, he just didn't play to his full potential. That's all. Guy could pass, had hands, just didn't finish. That's all. We ain't seen another athlete like Steph Curry. Tell the truth, Jay Will. That's what you need to say. Guy came in, changed the course. That's what we ain't seen. And that is an athlete what Steph Curry did. You think it's easy to shoot 50, 60-foot shots? You don't want to admit it, what I'm gonna tell you. He inspired LeBron. Who's shooting logo threes? I saw it the other night against Utah. Who inspired that? Steph. How you think a triple junior whopper version of Steph and Trey Young? Thank you. They could have, but the problem is you needed a guard. and you needed a credible guard. And I don't know if I don't know how it would have been enough ball to go around at that time. So it would have been interesting though, where his ball handling skills and how he post and what have you. But I don't know. With the right point guard, you balance up ego. But Webb got into that three ball and outside shooting, so I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Curry got skills. See what we got. 75% saying no to McLovin. I'm loving it. We're gonna be on here another 20 more minutes. I'll make it a 2-hour package today. As long as people keep on talking, I'll stay on. And long as you want to keep on talking, let's keep on. Jay Will wants to always try to throw LeBron in that he got everybody about him. And I followed the cat's career. There's certain things he's done that I've been impressed with. There's certain things that he didn't have. But he definitely got into a better shooter as time went on. Because that wasn't always the case for a while. People talking about highly skilled. Votes are coming in, got more people coming through. So thank you. As long as we can come, okay, why doesn't Hulk because he played for a team that was a one-trick pony with him and Issel and Creaky Vanderway that just did a lot of scoring. Didn't play no defense. I think Doug Moe was the coach. They played in Denver. And think about it today. Aside from Jokic, do you hear anybody talk about Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr.? So imagine you go back 40 years ago with a team that was a second round casualty, was never considered a threat because they didn't play no defense. They were in the highest scoring game ever against the Detroit Pistons, but they were they were a defensive liability. And he was a low key, almost like nerdy kind of cat. So there was no personality. Nobody I ever met had an Alex English jersey. Didn't sell jerseys, played for the Nuggets. They weren't a title contending team. Do I need to keep going on? That's why. That's why. And contrary to what people will tell you, they like a marquee name in a major city and selling jerseys and merch. Geeks and nerds care about stats and things like that. But when it comes to the ooh and the ah, if you ain't playing for a name brand or you playing for a team that's having success, they don't remember you. And see, that's where Alex English is almost, you know, when you're playing in certain teams and you don't win and then your name, that's what happens. Politics and all of it, you know. Well, if Alex English plays for the Lakers and does what he does, we look at him differently. If Alex English plays for Detroit or Chicago, we look at him differently. He plays for New York, we definitely hold him different. I'm just gonna keep it 100. I did a video about that and I disagreed. And my video came out. So you have to check my videos. I did that. I disagreed. If he matched Larry Bird mentally, he'd have been a lot better throughout the bulk of his career. He had choppy parts in his career. He did get co-rookie of the year, but he went through a couple situations and teams, and he didn't get that star cut bench. I'm starting Stockton. I'm a bench kid, and I'm gonna cut GP because Stockton was the most consistent of the three the whole duration of his career. Kid got better, And once he developed the three ball and the leadership skills, he went further. I like Gary probably more than all three of them because I like from Seattle, and he was good in Milwaukee. And went to Lakers, he didn't fit. Trying on him did not work. Then he won a ring in Miami. But his defense was great. His trash talking, he played tough. And he's in the argument with Kevin Durant as the greatest Sonic player ever. However, he had some bad situations. And there were some situations where, you know, he kind of just, it just didn't quite go where it should have gone. So I don't think he got, he did get that ring and but he had that bad finals. I seem to respect Stockton Walton. Stockton was consistent. I don't necessarily care about him personally. I'll tell you something. I don't like neither one of them turkeys personally. Stockton, I could go on and I got to watch how I say it because certain things that happened the past few years. C19, that was one of the things that happened a few years ago with him. And he acted very strange. But anyway, um, he, but what he did on the court, I can't take away. He was fundamentally sound. The guy could have played 25 years. He could pass the ball, set you up. He did his job. He was as clinical as a point guard I've ever seen. I could pick guys over him, but I'll tell you this, he belonged in conversation. Stockton was textbook. So that's what that's about. And all-time leader in steals and his assist game. I mean, he was bad. There was no fanfare. He had some tactics he used, but he was bad. Bill Walton, it just that he got hurt. Because if he don't get hurt, he came out with Portland. He was bad, and he came up big as a six man for the Celtics. As a college player, he was in the argument with the best of the best I've ever seen. But injuries that robbed that cat of a bigger legacy on the NBA level. But he was bad. He was bad. But injuries took him out. There's a lot of guys that I respect that played in the game. You ask me, I'll tell you. You know. But no, Gary, I like probably more of the three because I like what he did. He ran that low post and he could post you up with George Carl. You know, if Kemp was coachable, could he have been on Oh my God. I don't know if I'd say the most gifted. And see, that's pretty strong because see, when you say gifted, that means that I can't say that he was talented, but he wasn't. Let me tell you somebody that was gifted, and it's just that he got taken away was Lynn Bias. That guy was gifted. Kemp could rock. One of the best in-game dunkers I've ever seen. I think it doesn't even get more attention than it should. But he didn't always get the full totality out of his game. It wasn't just coachable, it's just that the style that was ran. Can't even say he was LeBron before LeBron. I'd probably say Lynn Byers was more LeBron before LeBron. Um, there's a couple other guys I can't think of right now. I can't really say that. Because Kemp didn't really add to his arsenal as a scorer as LeBron did. He didn't circulate the wagon, and his defense was better. I give you that. Now that's something that you could say because he was playing some D and he had spring in him. But when you talk about physically gifted, you gotta be talking about guys all the time, and I ain't gonna say that. No, mm-mm. Because I didn't sit around looking. Like I'll give you an example. Derek Coleman had more gift than Sean Kemp because he had the outside rock, could shoot, could move. Kemp basically became a one man, one slot, with what he did. He didn't add an outside J. He didn't add a deep shot. And then it wasn't like assists and he didn't give you an all around game. He was talented and get what he did well. He was kind of like the dunks like Reggie Miller was to the shots. And that's what he did, and that's what we really cared about him for. Sad part, that's how most people look at him. They don't really, because he was like a better version of what Blake Griffin did, but they got guys like that, and that's what they and Zach Levine falls into that, if you must know. That's the school that Sean Kempton birthed, except Zach Levine got the three ball. But that's basically the school that he's birthed. So no, I don't look at him as a top three. No, because when I see guys that are gifted, them guys can beat you in different ways. I didn't look at Kemp as a guy that I'm like, oh, he just going no. Mm-mm. And I liked him, but his window wasn't, and he didn't have the kind of window where I looked at a guy and thought he got hurt or he ate himself out the league, because ball handling, playing off the rock, versatility, the whole nine, you know. And he didn't really add nothing after that finals against the Bulls. So that's why I can't, because he did what he did, but no, see, sometimes if a guy, let me give you an example of what I'll talk about old school, what people who didn't watch or didn't know or didn't see, when guys lost the finals, they wanted to come back and get better. He never got better. He never got better. And I seen guys lose and then come back the next year and they added to their repertoire. Like Mahomes did when he lost the Super Bowl to Tampa Bay. Now we're gonna see what happens next couple of years. But you saw what happened. He added two more rings and he went to three straight. That's what I meant about taking that vengeance and coming back. So, when you say this, you gotta come with like Karl Malone added that fadeaway and worked on his game. Okay. I seen guys do it. You know. So you have to add something to the repertoire, what you didn't have. Just like when Jordan used to get beat up by the Pistons, he started working on, he bulked up, got tougher. Pippen got mentally tougher. They added. You had to step your game up. Shaq did too. When they was losing Orlando, got to losing Lakers. But when they got the right coach, got the right, all that cultivated, that's what made that run. You gotta have that mindset too. It's in your mind. But I never looked at Kemp and thought, "Oh, he was so gifted that this was this sort of thing," because he wasn't the kind of guy that was scoring a lot of points like that or just dominate. Could he play? Yeah. Did he have skill set that was a yeah. But were you sitting around thinking like he's gonna take over the league or be that? No. Mm-mm. So anyway, keep hitting the poll, keep hitting the questions. Appreciate everybody coming through. We're doing good today. Yes, I've said it many times and I'll say it again. And if you don't watch my videos, or if you do, hey, how you doing? Good to see you, Sean. Thank you for coming through. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Um, had he won in Portland, top five player ever. But blew that 2000 series when Shaq was at his apex and the Lakers had won all those games. And then if he and so now Scotty's somewhere between 36 and 48 all time, as far as I'm concerned. There's a big gap when you're top five as opposed to 30 to 40 off the slot. Welcome, Charlene. Glad to see you. Been a long time. So yeah, that's why I can't have him. He talks all this talk. I said, well, if you had a won that series and you beat the Lakers and you don't let Shaq and Kobe take over and feel, we looking at you differently. I don't talk about his idioticness because he thinks he throws enough darts out there in the dark and he'll land something. See, the thing I'm going to say is this: it's easy to say he needs medicine and this and any other. Now, I think he's trying to be deeper than what he is, which is he's trying to do, and he's trying to bring out another album, and he's got something he wants to say. Everybody knows who runs the industry and who controls the politics. So if he don't like it, says, "Well, why don't you leave it? Why don't you just walk away from it?" But you can't because people keep letting him talk, and he'll say whatever. The Grammys are rigged and they're fake and they racist too and they're divisive and they have a clique and a crew. Nothing new. Now, why does he care so much? Because he feels like he's been slowly eased up out of that. Well, the problem is that people aren't, even though we're not in a buying your records, they're not streaming it. They chasing his shoes, they're chasing stuff. He's the one that still has a say over his own destiny. It's just that his antics are cheap and they're played out, and people aren't really taking him serious. And so he's left to trying to throw something up there that hopes will stick. Why don't we hold the 2 years of letting the Rockets win against Pippen when two of us come? Well, because there was that phantom call with the Knicks, which wasn't his fault. Now, the only thing that hurt Pippen in that series is that Kukos hit that game winning shot and he pouted. The first year, though, he was top five MVP poll and he played good. But then the second year when Jordan was gone, he came back and they lost to Orlando. He stunk that year, but no one was holding against him. But see, when you talk about you could have done something without him, the first one was that year in 2000. That was his clear mark. 15-point lead in LA, fourth quarter. So, and that's what is working against him. So, but anyway, Charlene, I don't spend a lot of time talking because Kanye has been figured out long ago. He can't make up his mind if he's in self-loathing himself or he's just trying to say something to sell records and create controversy and people to go buy his whack albums, which this ain't 20, this ain't 2012 no more. People ain't sweating Kanye in over a decade. His antics backfired and he's just still crying. And he's still trying to use Taylor Swift as a springboard to, to something. And he really hasn't figured out how to parlay it beyond gimmicks. So that's all. People are past it. And that's the problem he runs into, you know. But I say it like this: if you're still watching the Grammys and still got hope, I watch low lights of it and I know and I watch the predictability of it. But what is he gonna say that we didn't already know? We know it was bought. He should use Beyonce's spring. Well, he tried that, but they don't mess with him no more. And it's already bought and paid for anyway. And Beyonce fans don't care about him no more, you know. So yeah, she got it bought and paid for because Jay-Z sat there last year and cried talking about all these awards. What can she get out of a year? So he cried on TV and they bought it up. That's all that was. And I watched Benzino and he said something which was true. He said she ain't showing up unless she's getting an award, which is a fact. She don't make no appearances for nothing. Especially she only goes to main spots. She won't go, you know, BET Awards. She don't go there no more. She's been in the game. That's how the game works. So that's all that is. 100%. The problem with Kendrick is this. I got what he was doing. I had no problem with what he was doing. It's just that he doesn't have the personality. And what was her name? Azalea Banks? She said something real loaded about Kendrick. I would not do that in real because she was talking about it from a different context, but it does appeal to appeal. He's a nerdy cat who's smart, but he doesn't have no, it doesn't really connect beyond people. And the sad part is because of not like us and A minor, that's all people came for. They didn't really come to really check him out. So it comes off gimmicky, which in fact hurts him because he doesn't really. Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Well, Kanye's problem is that he talks in riddles. He can't ever tell you the whole truth about the business because then they would be done with him, and he needs it. But he talks, and ain't that's why they play him all like crazy? Well, it was watchable because we're in a different era. We have social media, and there is a push and a plug for that. But notice of what they're doing. They're bringing up something that came out what 30 plus years ago to something that just came out now. So let me tell you what they're doing. They're trying to use Michael Jackson's greatness against him because they know that Michael is still the standard. When you're a standard, they still talk about you 30 plus years. If you ain't no standard, they don't go dig you up. This is what they're trying to hype. So it's a political agenda. They spend so much time bad mouthing and downplaying Michael Jackson, but they know good and well they need him to set the bar for what you got now, which ain't really that much. It really ain't that much. But it's gonna be a braggadocious line for Kendrick to say, "I got more numbers than MJ. I did my way." He'll say something corny, and some people will eat it up. But he's not that kind of a threat of an artist. He was alright. I don't pay attention to what Kanye says because Kanye gotta say what he gotta say. Because Michael said that he was the most dominant artist of my lifetime. And let me address this. I ain't never heard about no Trey Songz in that. Who said that lie? Now, if you said R. Kelly, I give you that. Trey Songz ain't never been mentioned against no Michael Jackson. Drake's been considered like an MJ because of success, not because of what he's doing, not because of that. Mm-mm. Prince forever and a day, him and Madonna up to the 90s. Beyonce, because this is because of Coach, because Jay Z made that stupid dinky remark about, oh, it's Super Bowl, but he never did Coachella. So he's the one who said that stupid remark. And her fans and her stands say this mess because they want her to be the love child of Michael and Whitney, and she was the baby. Then Chris Brown, and that one is hokey and it's a lie. It's a lie. Usher too, you know. There is no comparing no one to Michael Jackson. You ain't even got to be no Michael Jackson fan. You just have to tell the facts. He was a one on one. He set a standard for people watch. The most dominant artist of my lifetime, and I tell the story the same way all the time and twice on Tuesday. If you loved him, you supported him. And if you liked him, you bought him another artist. And if you couldn't stand him, you bought other artists because you knew you had to hear about him. There was no getting around with Michael. Whitney, but it was a different hit as a female. She had to worry about Mariah. That one was thrown down the throat. But she was being compared to Aretha. Yeah, there's no comparison. Whitney's Whitney hasn't been touched by no other female artist after her, as far as I'm concerned. I've seen some interesting careers, and I've seen some great songs. I ain't seen no one that's touched Whitney. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Because she had what I call the two-lane career. The greatest love of all in the 80s, then you go to I Always Love You in the 90s. And hit movies, soundtracks, hit big, ran, dominated. There's no comparison. And I don't want anybody to talk about, well, other people wrote songs into that. They didn't touch what she did. You could put Mariah and Gaga to combine. They ain't touching Whitney. Gaga's a very extremely talented artist. She ain't got that, and Mariah ain't got that. They ain't got what Whitney had. Stop. So, in what lifetime? This was 20 years. God, this was like, no, this was like almost 30 years ago. Maxwell, I like him a lot as an artist. I loved his first album. I liked his MT Unplugged. When he worked with R. Kelly with Fortunate, but and he's a good live showman. I listen to him more than them two, but no, no. Talent wise, yes, but what has he done? Little Wing, Pretty Wing was on. What has he done that the people are going to? They're not. They're not.
They're not. They're not. They're not gonna put him. Popularity's not above Beyonce and Chris Brown. You know. Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you. That's how I feel about Tevin Campbell. Tevin Campbell should be getting that kind of love. He won't though. But I agree with you. Yeah, that means I'm gonna have to pretty much go in about 5 minutes because I've been on for 2 hours. You came on and caught me late, and when I'm on for a certain amount of time, that's when it starts to act all funny and janky. Can you hear me? Okay. Give me a one if you can hear me all right. Give me a one. I've been on so long. Yeah, I've been on so long. That's what happens with this thing after a while. So I burned it for like two. I'm glad you came on though. I'm glad you came on. But yeah, I like Maxwell a lot, and you know, yeah, that's why I said I'm only gonna be on for about 5 more minutes. It's all about money. That's all it's about. Rap beefs today about money and fake pseudo positioning because 50's trying to wax on everybody. And Rick Ross is always in the middle of junk. That's all he doing. So I wouldn't take it too seriously. Big Mitch just got out. That's what's up too. So I wouldn't put a lot of stock in it though. I am coming back on tomorrow. So about if you happen to be on tomorrow, let me know. I'll be on tomorrow. It's just that if I'm on for like more than 2 hours, sometimes this thing gets kind of funny. So I'll be on for 5 more minutes today. 5 more minutes today. So if y'all can hear me and you want to ask something, we can talk about it. And I'm definitely coming back tomorrow. Appreciate all the likes and clicks today. Poll numbers were great today. So I'm definitely motivated. So anyway, I think that looks like that's about it because I don't see anybody else coming through. So we're gonna run it in and we're gonna see what we got. Okay. Appreciate you talking, Dakota. Appreciate that. Appreciate you coming through for the live. I'll be back tomorrow though. So if you on tomorrow, catch me in the afternoon around this time. Appreciate you coming through. Thank you for the support. Glad to see everybody that came through. So I'm gonna cut it right now. So what time you got right now? Where you at? What time you got? What time is it that you have? 12:26. So probably I would say gonna be early. Probably about 9:26 your time. About 9:26. So yeah, about 9:26. So yeah, if you're up about 9:30 your time, yeah, that'll be the time. Morning for you though if you're up. Yeah, because I'll do it like that. That's why I'll try to send it around that time. So 3 hours less from now. Oh, I forgot about that mess. Oh yeah, I heard about Trump trying to make that into his own holiday. Okay, cool. I hope you getting paid for that. Oh, I forgot all about that. Wow. That's how fast February is going by, huh? Wow. I forgot all about it. Okay. Thanks for letting me know too, cause if I got any tax situation, thank you, thank you, appreciate you. Anyway, when I get through from here, I'm gonna work on a couple of videos, and I'm glad you came through though. Thank you so much. Also, if you happen to be on, let me look real quick. If you happen to be on Blue Sky, I'm on Blue Sky, the real Maxim Muhammad. You can find me on Blue Sky. So if you're on Blue Sky, I do Blue Sky and I do Threads too. So just throwing it out there. Also on Facebook too. So you can find me. Just thought I'd throw that out there for you. I link up stuff too. So if you happen to be on it. But anyway, I got one more minute before I'm bouncing. Okay. Anyway, I appreciate one that came through today. And thank you for the support as always. And again, um, let me know when your availability is too, because if you want to do live streams, you want to go live, you let me know the time period, and we can work around it. If I can make it happen, we make it happen, and we looking forward to it. So thank you everybody that came through. Peace and take care of yourself. Appreciate you. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay full, stay fed. Don't be misled. And